right, well, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. It's great to see so many people here today. Today's webinar is brought to you by the Cal Poly Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, MCSC Women's Business Center, and SCORE. Get my technology, there we go. The Cal Poly SBDC provides professional, no-cost, no-obligation consulting, training, and resources to entrepreneurs and small business owners. MCSC provides support to individuals looking at self-employment as a viable option for their next career. We work with startup and existing businesses with one-on-one consulting, entrepreneurial training courses in both English and Spanish, and classes on specific business-related topics. And finally, SCORE provides free and confidential business mentoring tailored to meet the needs of your small business and your personal objectives. Services include free and confidential mentoring, workshops and events, templates and tools. In short, we're all nonprofits serving the development and growth of small business at San Luis Obispo. We're here for you. I would like to thank Steve Burnside from Clever Ducks for presenting today. I love the name of your business, Steve. Steve is the Director of Development and Marketing at Clever Ducks. He holds an MBA in Strategic Management and has years of marketing industry experience. He's been around a long time. So before we get started, I'd like to cover a few basic housekeeping items. Please limit your distractions and mute your phone. We will be taking questions in the chat box, and this webinar is being recorded. A link will be emailed to you once the recording is processed. So an important part of marketing is knowing where your business comes from. So I'd like to launch a quick 30-second poll to find out how you heard about us. So please take 30 seconds to complete this. Okay, it looks like about half of you heard about it from MCSC and half of you from the SBDC, a few from word of mouth. Thank you for doing that. All right, so without further ado, I would like to present Steve.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for the welcome. I'm excited to be here. Always a good time to present here. Obviously, with our restrictions of not being together in the same room, hopefully next year when we do these, we can do that. But we have an hour and a half to give you a lot of information. And so, like it was said, definitely put questions in the chat box. My goal with today is to have you leave this webinar empowered and thinking a lot about how you can better promote your business through digital advertising. And so we need to start this conversation. We're going to do a couple different mediums here. Normally it's a lot more interactive. So I'm going to need, you guys are going to have to let me know you're alive in the chat box, and keep just write some stuff in there every once in a while to make sure I'm still coming through and stuff makes sense. You can give me a high five or something in there, but we're going to talk first just globally about the world of social media and digital. Good. I'm glad to see that you're alive. Awesome. But we're going to talk first globally just about the landscape of social media, digital advertising. That's really one of the most important things for you to understand to be successful in this, because you will probably need to be on multiple platforms. The second thing we're going to do is we're actually going to talk about the flow of advertising, and then we're going to jump into some actual ads, and then we're going to build an actual Facebook ad together. We're going to hopefully do that in like an hour and 10 minutes, and then giving some time for Q&A. And I'll also answer questions that come through during our time here. So first, let's talk about just kind of the current state of affairs of social media, digital advertising. Like it was said, I'm getting to the point where I almost need to dye my hair. I have some gray coming in. So I've been in this for a long time. I've been doing digital things since 1998, 2000, somewhere in there was kind of my first dabble into like Google AdWords and all of that. And we went through the MySpace revolution and all of those things. But how it sits right now is that we have these digital platforms, these social media platforms, and obviously the big ones being Facebook and Instagram, all being owned by the same people. We have YouTube. And when I say social media, I don't want to get into the conversation of whether YouTube's social media or not, or Twitter social media or not. I mean, I have my own opinions about that, but there's all these digital platforms. So And then we have a bunch that are coming in and out right now. I mean, anytime, it feels like every time we look up, there's another platform out there that you can be on. Here's the reality. All of these platforms, the end goal, regardless of what they say, is to make money. They have to make money to stay open. Facebook and Instagram are publicly traded companies. For those of you that don't know, as soon as you become a publicly traded company and you put shares on the market, this is the same with LinkedIn, right? They're owned by Microsoft, and you have YouTube, which is owned by Google. As soon as you put shares on the market, you have a liability and a responsibility to your shareholders over anybody else. And so we watch this in our lifetime. I mean, not even just in our lifetime, in our working lifetime with Facebook. Meaning, Facebook started with just being going out to colleges and universities. My wife was on it really, really early because she works for Cal Poly, and we saw it grow, and then we saw it grow into expanding into larger audiences. We saw it grow into going public. And once it's public, you can listen to those conference calls. And that's when you started seeing the shift in what we call organic traffic to paid traffic. So all of you know, or maybe you don't, but if you post something on your Facebook business page right now, and put this in the chat. Thank you for the guitar comments, by the way. That will have to be a different webinar. But if put in the chat comments, if you've had a Facebook business account for more than a couple years, what have you seen happen to those posts that you just post organically? I mean, you don't boost them, you don't put any money behind it. You just put a post out on your business Facebook page. Is that getting a ton of is that getting in front of a ton of people's eyes, or is that just kind of not what it used to be? Right, exactly. Yeah, it reaches way less people than it used to, right? Do you remember there was a moment when Facebook, Instagram did the same thing? There was no business accounts back in the day. And then they were promoting going to a business account. They limit your personal account to 5,000 friends. And then they were pushing you to go to a business account for all of these great benefits. Well, and yeah, seeing more traffic on Instagram. Sure. Right now. Well, they did that because the plan was to get everybody to monetize. And so I want to go through all of this because it's important you understand the end goal of the companies when you start getting into this advertising space. So they started taking away organic traffic. So, I mean, now it's been 7 years ago, you'd post a post on Facebook on your business page and a bunch of people would see it. It's because Facebook was trying to get more people involved, right? More businesses. Because as a small business, you talk to your friends and say, man, I'm posting all this stuff on Facebook and people are seeing it and they're coming in the store and they're buying my stuff and all this. And then as they started there was the organic started going down, the paid started going up, and then there was a shift. And now it is hard. I mean, honestly, outside of just feeling good about yourself, it is hard for most companies to even justify just the organic posting. Like if you have to hire somebody to do that, it's hard to see an ROI for just posting posts on Facebook right now. And even Instagram. I mean, I know Instagram, there's more traffic happening right now. There's more engagement, but it is definitely teetering down from over the last couple of years. And it is ROI. Yep, return on investment. We're actually going to be talking about ROAS, which is return on ad spend. So how much money you're getting back on the ad spend that you're spending. But that's the current state of affairs, right? Is that all of these companies, your organic traffic is going to continue to be lower. And the paid advertising is the most powerful tool small business owners have to get their message out in these communities. Now, what I love about this is that as small business owners, we also have the ability, or marketers, whatever your role is, you have the ability to be very agile, right? You don't have to go through and have your ads approved by 15 different levels of management and go through, legal and all that stuff. We have the ability to be really flexible in how we advertise and what we advertise. And the beauty is that the advertising platforms are made for us. And so they do work if you know how to work them. I normally tell the story that I got asked to do some consulting back with a firm out in Indiana. I mean, this was years ago now, 6 years ago. But when I flew out there, it was a guitar-based business, hence the guitars maybe. But they had, when I walked in, they had 72, I believe, full-time marketing people. And it hit me in that moment. They were a company of 1,200 and almost 10% of their workforce was full-time marketing. They had, analytics people and web people and ad people and Facebook ad people and Instagram ad people and YouTube ad people and all of that. And it made me realize, man, for the small guy, it's hard to compete with something that size, except for the fact that to get anything done, and in my consulting with them, what I recognized is I would bring up things and you just see the guys just put their face in their hands and go, man, it's going to take us a lot to get that approved. Well, we don't have to do that, right? So, okay, that's my overarching. Digital advertising is a place small businesses can win. That's my whole point in all of that. But you have to stay on top of it. If you're really get into this, I would recommend listening to Facebook's quarterly conference calls, because once again, they are a publicly traded company. Zuckerberg will often give you hints as to what is going to get a little extra juice, where the company's going on both Instagram and Facebook. So those are really good things. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to a whiteboard here, and I want to talk about the flow of an ad. Okay, let me get back out here. Okay, so I can't see the chat right now, so if for some reason you can't see this whiteboard or you can't hear me, somebody's going to have to unmute and chime in here. But what we have over here, let's see here. There we go. We have our ad. Now, a lot of people will tell you the most important thing is the ad. I'm here to tell you that that's not the most important thing. That's actually one of the biggest farces in the world of advertising. The biggest thing you need to think about is what happens after the ad, okay? So I'm on Facebook and we see this ad come through, right? Here's a post, but here's this ad. Now, I'm going to click on this ad and I'm going to go somewhere, right? From here, I'm going to go somewhere. This right here, I don't know how to emphasize this more than a bunch of circles. This is the most important thing for you to think about. Getting people to click your Facebook ad is one of the easiest things you will ever do as a small business owner, marketer, or whatever it is. It is not hard to get people to click your ads. The challenge becomes getting people to take the action you want them to take, whether that's buying a product, signing up for an email, whatever it is. And so I see people all the time, and I have a Facebook advertising course. I've taught a ton of people on Facebook the ads themselves. People get so focused on the ad, and then they don't know why they're not getting an ROAS, right? A return on ad spend, okay? Which means if I spend $1, I want to have $2 in my bank account, right? If I spend $10, I want $100 in my bank account, kind of thing. And those types of things are possible, but you have to, the money does not come when somebody clicks the ad. The money comes when somebody takes advantage of the thing that you are offering in the ad. So here's a hot tip, right? Pro tip number 1, you should never be sending people to the homepage of your website, especially if you are an e-commerce site. The worst thing you can do is tell people, hey, we have a bunch of clothes at our e-commerce site, and then send them to your homepage and hope they find the thing that they're looking for, right? The more complicated you make it for somebody to find something, the less likely they are going to find it and the less likely for them to actually purchase it. So normally we spend half hour to 45 minutes talking about this flow. But once again, with our limited time, I just wanted to give you that concept that the most important thing is not the ad, right? It's what you're doing after the ad. So with that, I'm going to actually go over and stop sharing that one, and I'm going to share another screen here. This is very multimedia here. We're going to be all over the place, but that's what we need to do to make sure you guys are getting this. So everybody can see, I think, my screen now. We are actually in Facebook, believe it or not. And I have 3 or 4 ad examples pulled up here, real life ad examples. I just found them right before this webinar so that they could be fresh for us, okay? Now, one of the things you have to remember about advertising is it's a lot of communication, right? Communication and expectation. When my wife and I, we've been married about 15 years now. When we went through premarital counseling, we had a conversation about communication and expectation, right? If you communicate something, what's the expectation there? Well, it's the same type of relationship with the ad. One fun story I like to tell is that there was one time I remember my wife was in the kitchen and she was doing something, and I was in the living room and I was watching, there's some game on. I can't remember what game it was, but I remember her saying, "Hey, babe, can you come take out the trash?" And I said, "Yeah." Now, in my mind, I thought, well, I'll get to the commercials. I'll go take out the trash. It'll be fine. The next thing I heard was the garage door closing and the trash was gone. Because what she was actually saying is, "Hey, can you come take out the trash now? Because I'm cooking and I need space," right? So there was a breakdown in communication and expectation there. What was being communicated, there was a mismatch. But when that happens in your ads, that means people are not going to take advantage of what you have to offer them. Okay, so here we are. We're on this ad here. This is for the Motley Fool. This is a stock picking thing. And let's just take a look at this ad real quick. Wish you knew which stocks to pick. The Motley Fool has you covered. So they are communicating to us that they are going to help us know which stocks to pick. And then this big ad happening now, Motley Fool is offering 50% off its market tripling stock picking service. And then there's a button down here that says sign up. And so when we click that sign up button, we're going to go to this page. So this is what I would call a traditional sales page, okay? You have this kind of heading at the top, and it's a very text-laden sales page. Now, in the stock industry, this could actually be doing well. It's hard. I don't generally like pages like this. I think they're a little overwhelming to people with all of the text. And I always like there to be a call to action, what's called above the fold. So above the fold refers to anything you can see on the website as soon as it loads. And that term comes from back in the day, newspapers, right? You fold them down and you place them in the newspaper holder, right? To put your quarters in. Whatever's above the fold was the main headline to get people to buy the newspaper, right? It's above the folded part so people can see it. So above the fold in web, and we have some other examples here that it will make more sense. Above the fold in web is whatever you see on the web page without having to scroll anywhere, right? But you can see the top right here today, Motley Fool is offering 50% off its top stock picking service. And you can scroll down, it's talking about the service, and then down here, simply enter your email address. I love this part of it because the reality is the more information you ask for people, the less people are going to be inclined to give you all of that information. So you have to find out for yourself what's valuable, what's not. You can work that in your favor both ways. I actually had a high-end general contractor that I was working with at one point, and he only wanted super qualified people. He didn't want to waste his time doing proposals for people that didn't have the budgets to get the projects done that he wanted to get done. So we actually created a huge form for him with the idea that, hey, if somebody's going to fill all of this out, they're probably pretty serious about using you, or at least getting a bid from you, and potentially using you for a contractor. So it can work both ways. But in this case, in this Motley Fool case, their goal is to get as many email addresses as possible to put you into their marketing funnel. This is also another piece of advertising, is you can't just send people somewhere, hope they're going to do the thing, and then never reach out to them again. Most people take 5 to 7 connections with the business before they're going to take action. So you have to really think through, once I get somebody's email address, do I have an email marketing funnel? I mean, all of that works together, okay? Let's go ahead and look at another Facebook ad here. Harry Connick Jr. here, Playground Sessions. Learn to play the piano with music legend Harry Connick Jr. using the Playground Sessions app. And you can see down here, it says sign up. So we go to sign up, and here we are. This is the above the fold stuff. What do we have above the fold? All sorts of stuff. Now 15% off We have a great picture of a lady over there that's just having a blast playing piano. They're doing that on purpose so that you can try to align with her and go, that could be me playing piano and having a blast. We have the pricing right in front of us with sign up, call to action buttons right there, ready to rock and roll. So that, once again, for what they're trying to do, this is awesome. Everything's just right there. It's simple, right? It's simple. You don't have to overthink it. They actually have done studies that as soon as it gets less than simple, your brain gets over inundated and actually kind of shuts down. There's a lot of studies about if you've, with the power of story, there's books out there about this where if we're trying to have our customers be the heroes, that we need to give them small pieces of information over time, not all of the information at once, because we can absorb the small pieces over a long period of time. And when you put all of those pieces at once, they just get over inundated. Okay, here's another one, Automatic Script. Automatic Script is our powerful new software that shortcuts the process of writing great sales letters, emails, VSL scripts, webinar slides, ads, and more. Now, I'm showing you these ads because one of the best tools you can use is other people's ads to get inspiration. As a matter of fact, I don't have this tab popped up, but is everybody ready for hot tip number 2? Let's do that. Let's look for Facebook ad library. And once again, I can't see your comments right now, so I hope somebody said I'm ready for hot tip number 2. The ad library came out as one of Facebook's ways to combat some of this security and privacy issues they were dealing with. So with a, I don't want to say a heart to, but with the idea that they could tell people like, hey, ads are, if they've been run, you can see them. That's where this came from. So here's an amazing tool, okay? So we looked at the Motley Fool earlier. So Motley Fool, I'm just going to type that in right here. Give it a second to load. There we go. The Motley Fool. And then it will show me all of the ads that they are running, okay? And you can see filtered by location, region, active and inactive, potential reach. I mean, all sorts of information about these ads. You can see these ones launched November 2019. This is insanely powerful. Would you have the power to look at what, I mean, without this sounding kind of shady, looking at what your competitors are doing as far as advertising? I mean, how powerful is that? That you can just look at everything they're promoting. That's a win-win. That's a win situation. You need to be using this as you're coming up with your ads. Now, once again, I know we haven't gotten to the back end of how to create an ad. We're going to get there. I just need you to see the big picture, because creating the ad, like I said, is the easiest part of this whole thing. Having a strategy is the most difficult. Having a concept of what are we going to do with these people when they click the ad? Where are they going to go? What are we going to do? What are we asking them to do? I mean, that is huge. So, and here's the other thing, total spend by page on about social issues. I mean, these people spend a ton of money on advertising, right? So this is a fun place where you can go. So you can go to just Google Facebook ad library. You can type in anybody you want that's running ads, and those ads will show up. Now, what I didn't show you here is that there's about 1,100 results for these guys. And I know you probably are like, where's the ad we just saw? You see, we just have issues, elections, and political here. If I click all ads, it's going to take a minute here, but here you can see all of the ads that they've been running. And here's the thing. Generally speaking, here's hot tip number 3. Oh, they keep coming. If an ad has been running for a long time, it generally means it's performing. So some of these are pretty new. I mean, these guys are running new ads all the time. But if you look back at some of these that are still active, okay, and so you can actually go here and just choose active ads. And you can go back and you can just go back to the oldest ones and see which ones are still running. You could use those as pretty good templates to create your own ads. Okay, enough of that. I get very excited about this stuff because this is a huge tool you could be using. But let's go back. We'll check out one or two more. This one's from Screw the 9 to 5. What if there was a way to get new students joining your online courses every single day without having to spend time hosting webinars or running big fancy launches. Go here to find out how. This I wanted to show you because you'll see she has the link in the description. We're going to talk about this when we actually build out an ad. This, I love this right here. You will actually see it increasing clicks by doing this as opposed to just having it down here. But with that being said, we click it, it goes to here, and here we have, I think that was the same one. Let me click sign up one more time to make sure I have the right page there. Yep. Make sure your sound is turned on. It's so important. Okay, here we go. Now, let me tell you something that I love about this, and let me tell you something that I just don't like about this. First off, I'm having to double click. Okay, I just clicked an ad. Remember we talked about communication and expectation. I just clicked an ad that said, you know, click here to sign up. Then I go to a page and then I have to click again to sign up. I'd rather have a form right here. I've already clicked once. You're going to get a bunch of people dropping off because of that. The second part of this that I'm not a huge fan of, and once again, I want you just giving you strategy here, is this image, right? This lady looks like this lady in the picture here. I think it is the same lady. I'm expecting her face. When I go here and it's not her face, that's actually, that's not building trust, right? My brain, and I felt it when I went here, it was like, wait, what? Is this even the right page that I landed on? So you really need to be careful. That communication expectation, you're building trust. This whole thing is, do people trust you enough to give you their information, to give you their credit card, to give you their email address, right? I do like that this is a above the fold kind of thing. The video, you're going to have to test. Some people video works great, some it doesn't. And then you can scroll down, learn a little bit more about it, what's included, and all of that. So that one is okay, but there's great things to learn from. And I think for that, oh yeah, let's go to this one. I like this one actually. So Sunny is a big social media influencer. So last year when my students sold their 7-figure YouTube channel, how, blah, 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 and how a trip to the ER changed my business forever. You can learn more. And you come here and look how simple this is. Now, I'm not saying this is the end all be all, but I'm saying if simple wins, and I know Sunny does a bunch of testing to make sure this is probably where she's landed as far as the best way to acquire email addresses. And if you put your email in there, I promise you, you're going to get an email list and a funnel. You're going to end up getting hit by her a lot. But look how simple this is. So it can be everywhere from full on what we just saw, you know, these huge pages, video, the whole thing, all the way down to just right here. And we're going to talk a little bit about e-commerce here in a little bit. Okay, deep breath. I do get excited about advertising. I just saw that. Okay, everybody feeling okay at this point? Everybody okay? Okay, breathing. Are you reminding me to breathe? Okay, remind myself to breathe. Okay, any questions have you had any questions come up yet? I'll just wait 5 seconds here to see if any.
I haven't seen
email
seen any go through, just so you know.
Okay, great. You keep me posted if you see any.
Yep.
Great. Okay.
Oh, there's
what
one.
kind of budget Yep. What kind of budget? Okay. I love this question. Actually, Julia, I think I probably paid you to ask that question because that is exactly what we're going to jump into. So I'm going to answer that question in about 2 minutes. So we're here in the back end of an advertising account here. And the question of budget always comes up. And once again, I want to give you the big picture so you can be empowered to answer these questions for yourself moving forward, because the answers are always moving. The reality is as digital advertising changes, what used to be the budget no longer works. So I need to empower you guys with the knowledge and the ability to make that decision for yourself. It used to be, when this whole thing started, I told people $5 a day, and people were crushing it on $5 a day. now the minimum, especially, small business, I'm assuming there's not huge ad budgets. Minimum a day is about $15 a day to get kind of something rolling. Facebook, the algorithm of Facebook actually needs 10 days to optimize. So that means you have to run a budget that you can comfortably spend over 20 days. Because the first 10 days is just the algorithm getting it out to audience, understanding which people are clicking, which people aren't. And then by the end of that 10 days, the algorithm has been optimized. And so that next 10 days is really how your ad is going to perform. And then you can really decide if the ad you have here has a return on ad spend or not. And when we say return on ad spend, some of you guys might be asking, well, what if I don't have an e-commerce product? What if I'm just trying to get email addresses? Well, you have to assign a value to whatever you're trying to get people to do. Generally speaking, people put about $1 per email address value on an email address. So if you're running an ad and you have a $15 a day budget, if you're acquiring 25 emails a day from that budget, then you're looking good, right? Your return on ad spend is beating what you're hoping to accomplish. I saw somebody up there said something about an email funnel. Email funnel is when you take somebody's email address and you drop it in and they get a series of emails from you over the next week, 2 weeks, month, year, whatever it is. At Clever Ducks, we have a year email funnel. And so if you go to our website, there's a little box that'll pop up. If you fill that out, we have 1 year of emails, 2 a month, that go out to people to nurture the people that have put their email address in. So that's what the email address is. Awesome. So let's go into the actual, I think some of these questions that are coming through, we're going to answer those actually let's build an ad campaign. Now, just so you know, Facebook and Instagram, that ad dashboard is the exact same one. So we're in the back end of the Facebook advertising platform here. I just want you guys to see that making money in this is actually a viable thing. Let me do a custom column here real fast. So this is a friend of mine's campaign that I help out with a little bit. And let me go to value here. Let's see. Come on. Sorry, I lost where I'm going here. Cost per 1,000 people. Okay, actually, let's go through this real quick. CPM, if you don't know, CPM is cost per 1,000. M is the Roman numeral for 1,000. That's always a metric you can look at also. Your CPM is the only metric. The CPM is the only metric. Oh, you thought I got excited before. I'm not. Here we go. CPM is the only metric that you can actually compare apples to apples, and it's not even apples, it's like apples to kind of apples with other marketing or other advertising platforms. So if you have a magazine that you're trying to advertise in, you can ask them, well, what is my CPM? What is my cost per 1,000 people that I'm getting in front of if I put an ad in your magazine, right? Or if you're doing a TV commercial, hey, can you, what's the CPM? How many thousands of sets of eyeballs are going to see this? Well, in digital advertising, you can do this, or in all of these, you can see a CPM. So that's a huge thing, is to see that CPM, just so you know how many people you're getting in front of and how much that's costing. I mean, having an apples to apples thing is a really big deal. Here we go. Purchases, value. I just want to show this to you real quick. We talked about return on ad spend. There is actually a click here where you can do return on ad spend, and you can just see it right away. Let's see. Do we have permission to screen this and share on social media? If you wouldn't mind not sharing the ad piece of this, that would be great. I'm happy you can share any other part, but we're just inside an actual ad account, so I'd rather not have that be out there. But here we go. So you can see on this account specifically, we have over here, we have a 4.07 return on ad spend here and a 606 return on ad spend here. So what that translates to is, for every dollar they're spending on advertising. Oh, you can't see that? Okay. It means, hold on. Thank you for saying that. Did I get excited and not screen? Here we are. Okay. Can you see it now? Everybody good? Okay. Here's an ad in this account. You can see that there's a column here, return on ad spend, and it says 4.07 and 606. This is 712, 759. Essentially what that's saying is for every $1 we're spending in the ad account, they're pulling $4 out. So they're going into an ATM machine, putting $1 in, and $4.07 are coming out. On the other ad, it's $1 going in and $6.06 are coming out on these ads. And so that's real money, coming out. So some of these ads haven't been running that long, but you can see this one, we've spent $1,900 on ads, and they've gotten almost $8,000 in purchases on the website specifically for that. And on this one, it's been $5,700 amount spent with $34,902 of actual purchases on the website. I mean, that is really powerful. As a matter of fact, I'll show you one other one that's really, really exciting to me. This one has spent $614.56 on ads. $600 on ads, okay? Purchase conversion value, $19,070. A 30.96 return on ad spend. This is the kind of thing that is possible. Now, this is one of those things that we just hit a home run. Things are crushing it. It's out of control. But a 4, 5, 6, 10% return on, or 10 times return on ad spend is not out of the question. So we're going to actually go through and create an ad here, okay? The first thing, so when you can go to business.facebook.com. That will set you up if you don't have yet a Facebook Business Manager, an ad account. That's where you're going to go. So business.facebook.com. When you're creating an ad, the first thing that's going to pop up is this box that says, choose a campaign objective. This is so important, because the first thing you choose here is how Facebook is going to try to optimize the algorithm for you, okay? So when we look here, there's 3 different columns: awareness, consideration, conversion. Do some research on the sales funnel. Those are the 3 elements of a sales funnel. You have to be aware something exists. Once you're aware it exists, you consider whether or not you're going to purchase it. And then when you decide you're going to purchase it, you're going to convert. So you have awareness, consideration, conversion. You do this, whether or not you know this or not, you do this on every single purchase that you've ever made in your life, or purchase you haven't made in your life. When you're standing at the checkout, at Target or wherever, and you see a pack of gum and you become aware it's there, you go through this, even though it might be a 2-second thing, you go through this. Every purchase goes through the sales funnel, the purchase funnel. So you have to understand that each one of these is going to innately try to do something different. Traffic is literally, they're going to try to send as many people to your website as possible. So they're going to put the ad in front of people that just have a tendency to click on ads. Engagement, it's going to put people in front of your ad that have a tendency to engage with those ads, make comments, do little hearts and smiley faces, right? Video views, if it's a video, it's going to put it in front of people that have shown historically that they'll watch a video. Because Facebook and all these digital platforms, if we're being honest, know more about you than you know about yourself often. And they know if you're stopping and watching videos. They track all of that, right? We have lead generation if you're trying to collect emails, messages, if you're trying to connect with somebody over Messenger, right? All of these are in the consideration column, but they're very different activities, and how all of our profiles on Facebook, the back end, Facebook knows which one of these we will engage with. So choosing the right one is hugely important. The great thing about the conversion side, and we're going to click conversions here as our objective, is that there's a thing called the Facebook pixel. Okay, we don't have, unfortunately, since we're only an hour and a half, we don't have a bunch of time to dig into this, but it's a little piece of code that you put into the back end of your website. You can just Google Facebook pixel. That will track people. So when you go to Macy's and you look at some boots, and those boots are following you around around the internet, That's retargeting. That's what the pixel can do. It also allows us to track people that clicked a Facebook ad, came over to the website, and actually converted. That's how we're actually able to see how many dollars are coming through. It also allows us to create custom audiences. So we're going to get into this in a second, but you can have an audience of people, of just the people who came to your website and looked at the brown boots section, right? Or just the black boots section. I mean, you can really divide up some of these audiences in the ad to. Okay, we're going to click conversions. Now, right down here, we can name our campaign. I'm going to call this one test so it doesn't get caught up in anything. We're going to call it test, test, test. So we have campaign. So that's the overarching campaign, right? The campaign is going to be to sell loop reins in this case. So that's horse terminology for those of you that haven't rode many horses. And I didn't either for many years, but I feel like I've learned more about horses in the last 3 years than I've ever known before. But, that's the campaign. Hey, loop reins is the campaign. The ad set is the level, and you can see right here, that's where we're going to determine who's going to see the ad, when we're going to run the ad, how much we're going to spend on the ad. And then we actually have the ad itself down here at the very bottom. Now, my hope is that by going through this, you will see how easy it is to create an ad. And once again, what we're doing right here is for Facebook and Instagram, right? We're killing two birds with one stone here. So the first page you're going to run into is the campaign name. We just did that. The campaign details. Okay, there's more options here. What I would recommend all of you do is just get a Facebook ad account and you don't have to actually send an ad through, but you can just get in here and start digging into stuff. There is an option, and I love this option, to A/B test. Now, A/B testing is when you change one element to determine which element is going to produce more of the results that you want. So when we do an ad, if we're going to A/B test, maybe we'll change out just the picture, right? So we'll have a picture of a horse with blue reins over here and one with red reins over here, and we'll see which picture more people click on. The reason you only change one element is if you change more than one element, then you're not going to know which elements made the result different, right? If I change the text and the picture, then you don't know which one is the thing that's driving the difference, right? So then we get down here to campaign budget, okay? This is really where you got to think, right? There's daily budget and lifetime budget. We have $100, okay? Let's give ourselves $300 just so I don't have to think too much about math here. So we have a $300 budget. We can tell Facebook we have a daily budget or a lifetime budget. So if I go to lifetime budget and I say we have $300, that means Facebook is going to spend that $300 as quickly as possible. Now, one of the values of doing a lifetime budget is that I can actually pick what times of the day those ads are being sent out. So if I have a delivery, like if I have a pizza restaurant and I'm trying to get more dinner time pizza deliveries, I could do a $300 lifetime budget and only have the ads run from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day. Okay. When I do a daily budget, I don't have that option, right? I can't choose that. But on the lifetime budget, I'm essentially giving Facebook essentially free reign to spend that $300 as quickly as they want. Now, if we're looking for an ad that's going to make us money over time, we want something that we can drip out over time. We want to get to that 10-day mark for that algorithm, right, to be optimized. So if we have $300, what we talked about earlier, maybe what we do instead is we do, $15 a day, but run it for 20 days. Okay. And that's going to give us that time we need for the algorithm to get optimized and the time for us to see how the ads are going to actually do, how they're actually going to perform over time. So daily budget versus lifetime budget. If you have an event this weekend, and you're like, oh my gosh, we need to get word out because there's an event happening on Saturday and it's Tuesday, then you're going to do lifetime budget, right? You're just going to tell Facebook, spend as much of this money as you can spend, get it in front of as many people as you can get it in front of, okay? Now, this is the ad set level, okay? That was the campaign level. The campaign level is very basic. The budget, that's what you're putting in there. As far as the ad set level, this is where things, you think I was excited before. I mean, this is where things get really, really exciting because we can actually choose the audience that the ad is going to. So first off, it's triggering me here that I need to choose a conversion event. There's been a lot of chatter about conversion events in the last 3 weeks because Apple is releasing some security patches for the phone that's going to limit what Facebook can see. If you've seen any of those articles coming over about how Facebook and Apple are fighting right now, it has everything to do with this right here, that Apple is going to limit what Facebook can see and their limitations on what they can track inside people's phones. And you can see that there are, before that, most of these, you can see little yellow, what are this, warning signs there. Those were not there before that all happened. The thing I actually care about is purchase, which is already set up. So we're good to go there. But it's something to consider is that if you watch if you get into this, you start watching older Facebook ad videos, not everything there is going to be here now. Okay. And you have to keep that in mind, just generally speaking. I think that's a good rule of thumb. That's why I'm trying to give you I want you to be empowered and understand how it all works, because the details of it, the nuts and bolts of it, change all the time. Okay. So we have a conversion setup that's set up through the Pixel. It's installed on the website. If you're using something like Shopify, Kajabi, Teachable, those types of sites that are kind of pre-built, if you install the Pixel in, those conversions will essentially automatically set up. Generally speaking, I want to make a generalization there. If you're using WordPress, there might be a little more manual work to do there, or WooCommerce, on WordPress. But if you're using any of those kind of standardized sites, a lot of those do get pre-set up once you install the Pixel. So that's not a big deal. So now we're going to get into scheduling. Once again, really easy here. Start date, and then you can click this if you want to set an end date. Now you got to be careful here. If you have $15 a day, which is what we're set up right now, and you think to yourself, I'll just come back in a couple weeks and turn it off, and you forget, they will keep spending that $15 a day. So I always recommend setting an end date here, at least something. Now, the nice thing, though, is you can set a start date. So if you have campaigns coming up, for Valentine's Day, and then you have one coming up for summer, and then you have one coming up for, Thanksgiving. I mean, you can set all of those up ahead of time and have them scheduled to run. The huge benefit of that, huge pro tip, where are we at? What number pro tip are we at? Pro tip number 5 is that when you submit an ad, it goes through a process, a review process. More and more, I've seen ads start to get declined, and people have been, I've been getting texts and calls from people like, my ads aren't coming through. There's a lot going on in the world of privacy right now, and what we're saying in ads and all of that. So my point is, if you have an ad that you want to start next Monday, I would put it in today, submit it, let it go through the review process. Because even if the start date isn't until next Monday, they'll still put it through the review process and let you know if it's approved or denied. Then if it's denied, at least you have some time to work out why it was denied, change the language, whatever you need to do. And as a matter of fact, my most famous ad that I helped somebody on that was getting denied was a builder, a home builder, and they had an ad that said farmhouse style homes. Well, apparently the way that was worded, Facebook was interpreting that as we were segregating a people group, like farmers, even though we were talking about a farm style home. So we actually changed the language there, and they don't necessarily tell you exactly why. They'll tell you kind of like an overarching, here's what, I can't remember what the exact phrase was, but it was something where it's like you're segmenting out a group of people. And as soon as we took that line out, it went through. If you're a gym, if you're anything like that, anything that's promises like 100% guaranteed, you're going to get thinner, lighter, stronger, any of those are going to get declined immediately. So you really have to think through those. But that's why I would start, make sure you give it a day or two before the start date so you're sure it will run on your start date. audience. This is the golden egg of Facebook advertising. This is the reason you are going to pay to advertise on Facebook, okay? This single thing is the most powerful tool small businesses have in the world of digital right now, okay? And like I said earlier, if you have a Facebook ad account, if you don't, go get one. Just spend some time in here, okay? We can do so much here. So when we're talking about audiences, we are making an ad for horse equipment, right? Equestrian equipment, tack, I guess I should say, to be appropriate. And so we don't want everybody to see that. We just want people that are interested in horse tack to see that. Right now, insert your niche there, whatever industry you're in. So we have the first thing is you see here is custom audiences. Now, custom audiences are an advanced feature. Looking at the time, I don't know if we're going to have time for it, but that is where you can create that custom audience based on an email list. Actually, you can actually upload your email list into Facebook, and Facebook will connect the people on your email list to their Facebook account, and you could choose them to run an ad to. I mean, think about how powerful that is. If you go, all these people have done business with me, I already know who they are, they know who I am, I'm going to run an ad to them for something. That's insane. Okay. That being said, here we go. Locations. We're just going to go down here. Locations. You can include or exclude anything. Okay. Remember that. We're not just including, we're excluding. Okay. So we have the US here. By the way, the US, UK, and Australia are generally the most expensive places to advertise. Your cost per thousand, like we talked about earlier, will be more expensive in those locations than anywhere else. So if you have a product that you sell a lot in Poland or Mexico or anywhere else in the world, you can actually really lower your cost by advertising to those areas as well. One trick we do is for people that have digital products is we will advertise to those certain areas, but you see, we can actually choose languages right here. So if I choose English, all, then I could advertise. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to change this to, since I said, let's not do that. Let's do Mexico. Let's see. Oops, I spelled it right. Here we go. So we'll do Mexico. And we're going to get rid of the US. So this ad, and you see on the right, dynamically, the audience changes on the right here. So in Mexico, between the ages of 18 and up, because it's 65 plus, that Facebook knows they speak English. Now, remember, we're not just saying Facebook's assuming they speak English. Facebook knows they speak English. There's 9.9 million people. So if we have a product that we can either ship to Mexico, I mean, people in the US that are doing e-commerce, they do a lot to Canada and Mexico often. So this could be a really powerful tool. Now let's go ahead and put the United States back, because we can talk about excluding. So say we have a product that we know sells in every state really, really well, except for, I don't know, Montana. Okay. Montana's only 1 million people. So that's not a huge amount of people to exclude, but you'll see what I'm saying here. On the left here where it says include, I can actually drop that down and hit exclude. And now I can exclude anything from a city, region, state. So we can do Montana. And then now we have the United States minus Montana. Okay, so now we're getting a little more detail in our targeting. What if I also wanted to exclude San Diego? Everywhere except Montana and San Diego. Now, I bring this up because there's two different things you're going to see here. There's San Diego DMA and there's San Diego. San Diego is the city. San Diego DMA is the marketing area that TV stations use to run commercials. So they're two different things. San Diego is included in that, but like the LA DMA goes out, like up the valley a little bit. So you just, if you're running TV commercials at all, then you can use those DMAs to match your Facebook ads along with your TV ads. So then here's what's beautiful. We chose San Diego, and then because we chose a city, it's giving us a radius here, right? So I can choose between a 10 and 50 mile radius of the people that I'm excluding here. So if we ran this ad like this, we'd have the United States minus Montana minus San Diego. I mean, how awesome is that? Now, assuming a lot of us here are in San Luis Obispo, we'll just put San Luis Obispo here. And we'll get rid of, there we go. So now we just have San Luis Obispo plus 25 miles. And if you can see that, the 25 miles kind of kisses Paso Robles, kisses Santa Maria here. So I'm gonna make that a little larger, and there we go, okay? So now we have a potential reach of 340,000 in that area. Really, really a powerful tool. Now, when you're running an ad, something you have to think about is these numbers are not it's the total number of people with accounts in that area. This is not daily active logins. So if there's 340,000 people, maybe only 40,000 of those people are logging in every day. So that number, you're going to want that number. I mean, if you're doing something regional, there's nothing you can really do about it. If you're doing something more national, right, and we're trying to target it down, you want that number to be a little bit bigger than feels comfortable, probably, because once again, some of those accounts will never log in again. Some of those accounts only log in once every week. I mean, there's just a lot. Some of those accounts are being targeted by so many other advertisers, you'll never get in. So there's a lot of thinking there when you're talking about the potential reach. So I'm gonna put the United States back in because we're gonna get back to our ad here. So ages 18 to 65. For me, with the ad we're running for horse tack, I know, generally speaking, it's a little bit older audience that purchases it. So I'm going to go 25, okay? Then we can choose gender. This is pretty simple, right? Generally, for what we're selling, it's a female audience that's buying that. Now, this detailed targeting, this is the golden egg I was just talking to you guys about. You can target people's demographic, interest, or behaviors. This alone could be a 3-hour seminar that we do. So what I want you to do, here's your homework. When you sign up for your Facebook ad account, get in there, go to this detailed targeting section and just hit browse, okay? And you will see these click down. So we have demographics, education level. So now we are choosing people that have an associate's degree, are a college grad, have a doctorate degree, high school graduation, are in college, in grad school, in high school, have a master's degree, have a professional degree, some grad school, field of study, right? We can search fields of studies. We can search schools. We can, I mean, it's crazy to think of that, okay? That you could do that under education. Financial, income, household income in the top 10%, in the top 10 to 25% for what we're doing, because generally speaking, people that are into equestrian have extra income. They are generally in the top, I would say 10 to 25% of zip codes. So we're going to check those. Actually, I did, let's see, 10 to 25 there. Let me find the 10 again. Let me go back up here, demographics, financial, income. There we go. Boom. Okay. That's awesome. Now, we're going to get into life events. Anniversary, okay? Anniversary within 30 days. Anniversary within 31 to 61 days. If you own a flower shop or you sell any product that guys need to buy for their significant others during their anniversary, this is the ad you need to be running. This ad, it's dynamic, right? So if you're running this ad for 2 months, they have an anniversary within 30 days. So the people that have had it, it's going to move every day, right? That 30 days is going to continue to move. This is so incredibly powerful. Think about the ad you could run for people with an anniversary within 30 days or within 31 to 60 days, right? People that are away from their families, away from their hometown. Birthday month. Think running ads in people's birthday months. I mean, come on. How crazy is that? Friends of men with a birthday in 0 to 7 days. Friends of men with a birthday in 7 to 30 days. Friends of recently moved. Friends of women with a birthday. I mean, you just scroll through these and you just need to have a notepad. Oh my gosh, I could run this ad to people that have friends that have birthdays within 7 days. Hey, don't let your best friend's birthday go without getting them this gift card, whatever. Long distance relationship, new job, new relationship, newly engaged. If you are a photographer right now, I'm talking to anybody out there that's a photographer, or if you're in the wedding space, you need to be doing ads right here, newly engaged, right? If you're a photographer, if you're a caterer, if you anything in that space, there should be ads going to people that are newly engaged, period, end of story. Recently moved. Okay, I'm getting overly excited here. Time is ticking here, people. So parents, we have all parents, okay? Click down. Parents of 0 to 12 months old, parents, and then you have all the age brackets, 0 to 3 years old, 9 to 12 years old, 13 to 17 years old, 1 to 2 years old. If you think about that, your general audience, and this is where we can get creative, if the people that buy products from you are in general life phases, right? Maybe empty nesters come to you, then you could use this as a way to just assume if they have children that are 18 to 26, maybe they're getting to that empty nester year, hopefully, and then you could run ads to them. We have relationships status, all the different statuses you can choose on Facebook, right? Work, employers, industries. Employers, that's crazy, right? You can like search employers. So let's search, I don't know, Coca-Cola and see what comes up here. Hello, let's see. Has my internet stopped? Well, we'll just keep going. Anyway, you can do that. You can search employers when you get there. Industries, different industries that they're in. Legal service, management, military. Look at all of this. And we're not even to interests or behaviors yet, right? This is life demographic stuff. That was all under demographics, right? You could use all those. They're handing you the gold mine of people. Then you go to interests, all these different interests, shopping and fashion, sports and outdoors, outdoor recreation, all the different things in there, right? These drop downs just keep going. Technology, computers, consumer electronics, all the different computers, all the different consumer electronics, so many different things. And then behaviors, how people behave. Come on. And once again, we have anniversary, but the one thing, write this down. I hope everybody has a pen. The one thing I want you to get in here that I don't see many people leveraging, under behaviors, there's a click down here that says purchase behavior, okay? Engage shoppers. Now think about this for a second. You're running an ad. We're about to run an ad for an e-commerce play. Don't we want people that have a history of taking their credit, here it is, taking their credit card out of their wallet and handing it to people? Like, don't you want to know those people before you spend money out of your wallet, right? You take money out of your wallet to hand it to Mark Zuckerberg so he can go buy a bigger house. Don't you want to know that those people have a habit of just taking this card out and swiping it? Well, that's what engaged shopping does. So we click that, and now what we have here is we have 100 million people in the US that are between the ages of 25 and 65 that are female, that are engaged shoppers and are in the top 25% of household income. Already we're feeling real good about this. But here's the other beautiful thing about this area is I can just type anything else I want. So remember we talked about horse. So I'm just going to type the word horse in there, or tack. Let me do tack. I think it's tack. There we go. And then we have horse tack as an interest. Horse tack as an interest. If you think your industry isn't in here, I would challenge you to go look at it, because horse tack is in here. So I'm going to boom, horse tack. So now let's think about how powerful this ad is right now. We have women between the ages of 25 and 65 plus that are engaged shoppers that we know are in the top 25% of financial households in the US, and they've already proven that they like horse tack on some level. We should just turn this thing off and go home now. That alone, you should be like jumping in and out of your chairs right now. That's so exciting. So this is the place that I want you to spend time to really put together audiences. Once you have good audiences, you can actually save these audiences so you don't have to go through this every single time. You just go down here and hit save this audience, and I'll just do it right here. Save this audience as horse, I'm going to call it 25% income. Okay, save it. And then when I go do another ad, I can just go up here. Oh, where am I here? I got excited. Here we go. And then I can use a saved audience instead of create a new audience. Okay. And I can edit that audience if I want also. Under the create a new audience, there's one other button I want you to really dial in on here, which is detailed targeting expansion. Reach people beyond your detailed targeting selections when it's likely to improve your performance. That sounds really good, and it can be, but it can also be really bad. Essentially, what you're telling Facebook is, I just did all this work, but if you think there's other people that might click my ad, go ahead and do whatever you want. In some ads, I've seen it work really well when the algorithm really gets it and is really kicking. And in some ads, I've seen it work really horribly because you're essentially giving Facebook the keys to the kingdom. And I don't generally like that, but I just want you to know it's there. And that's what that means. You're essentially saying, I did all this work, but if there's a way you can expand my audience, meaning you can take it outside of what I just did to get more, then go ahead and do that. Do whatever you need to do. Okay. And like, once again, I'm not saying yes or no on that. I'm saying test it, but know what it means before you click it. Okay. We're going to dive into placements here real fast. Automatic placements. Once again, this is just where you're allowing Facebook to place everywhere they place. Now, quick, ask yourself, how many different locations does Facebook have ads? How many different places does Facebook have ads? Any? Again, I can't see the chat, but let me, or maybe I can here. Here we go. How can that, oh, so I do want to answer this question. I just figured out how to get the chat up in the window I'm at right here. How can detailed expansion go wrong? It can go wrong because it's getting outside of what your core thing you're selling is. So we're selling horse reins right now. What if Facebook, if you're not choosing everything correctly, I'm trying to, what Facebook cares about is spending your money, right? So that they can put their money in their pocket. So by expanding that, it can go, let me say this, it can go less wrong if you're doing conversions as your campaign level objective, because Facebook is going to find people that are going to convert. If you're just trying to get people to click to websites, that could go very wrong, because then Facebook just has the whole world just go, hey, who will click on anything? It doesn't matter. Like if it doesn't matter, like if you're just telling me I can expand it and all you're telling me is you want clicks to your website, well, I'm going to send it to people that don't care anything about necessarily what you're selling. All you're saying is just get me as many clicks as possible, right? So there's two sides to every coin on this stuff. I can't tell you how much you spent on horse tech. That's awesome. Facebook ads are everywhere. Thank you for throwing that out there. I think I missed a question out here. Is there something on Facebook where they're adding we have children or not? So curious. Listen, so the question was, is there somewhere on Facebook where we are adding we have children or not? When you're posting pictures of your children, Facebook tracks every single thing you do and everywhere you go. Okay. Have you ever been in a room where you're talking with somebody about something? Say you're talking about diapers, right, with them, and then you go home and you get a diaper ad. And normally what people say is, oh, Facebook, I knew they were listening to me. Has anybody ever experienced that where you're talking with somebody about something and then all of a sudden you get an ad for that same thing, right? They're not listening to you, but by their terms of agreement, they're tracking you. So they know you were just in a room with somebody that likes the thing. That's why you're getting that ad, because now they know you've been associated with that person. Okay. That is the difference. So term of agreement, they're not listening to you, but they are tracking you. You allow that. You allow location services on your phone. I mean, that's crazy, right? And so when you talk about, like, if you have kids, if you whatever, anything you post on Facebook, they are using in this data. They know where you went, they know the Facebook pages you went to. If you go to other website pages that have the pixel installed, they know that. And by the way, just about every website on the internet has the Facebook pixel installed. Like, they're gathering information about you when you're signed in to Facebook on your browser. I mean, you're giving them all this information. They know how many kids you have. They know who your spouse is. They know who your brothers are. They know who your sisters are. They know who your best friend is. They know who you, I mean, you think it's just fun that they put a little thing up like, let's celebrate 3 years of, Facebook friendship, and they give you the little book with the hearts that fly up. It's like, they're doing that so you keep coming back and giving them more information so more advertisers will go spend more money with them, right? That's the reality of it. So, and yeah, you're totally right, Meredith. It's like when you look into the pixel, you can track just about anything. So there you go. So we asked about placements. It says, how many placements. I asked how many placements there are. You said they're everywhere. Well, let's go to manual placements and I'll actually show you how many places they are. So this is where you can actually pick and choose where you want your ad to show up. So Facebook there's Facebook, and then there's also Instagram, and there's also Audience Network, and there's also Messenger. So you have a bunch of different places. So just on Facebook, you have all these different feeds, right? Facebook newsfeed, Instagram feed, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook video feed, Facebook right column, Instagram Explore, Messenger inbox. Then you have stories, you have in-stream, you have search, you have messages, you have in article, and then you also have apps and sites. This is where it gets really interesting because Facebook actually has deals with a bunch of other sites where they could show your ad anywhere, almost anywhere on the internet. So when you're in Facebook advertising, it's a double-edged sword here, because you're like, well, I'm just going to show my ad on Facebook. But if you don't manually, if you allow Facebook to automatically put the ads out there, you're telling them put them anywhere you want. And then you have all these different places that ad could be out, and maybe your ad isn't really suited to just be on a different website. Maybe you're really making it for Facebook or Instagram, right? But this is how you would also have two different ads, one for Facebook, one for Instagram, right? You could do an ad and choose Facebook only, and do an ad and choose Instagram only. But just once again, I want you to be empowered to know this stuff is happening and it's going to change over time. So make sure you're looking at it, okay? With that, we're going to go to next. That's where you choose your identity, your Facebook page, and your Instagram account that you want this to go out with. And then I'm just going to scroll down to kind of the primary. Let me just put a URL in here so we don't. Okay, so we stop getting that error. Okay, the question earlier was, where do I put the web link for people to click on in the text? Now, there's a primary text button here, and I can just write, text, whatever. But if I put a URL, a www in there, it will make it a clickable link, okay? So now I know that, and my internet must be bogging down because it's not refreshing real fast, but this primary text is that text here. I'll show you right up here. That's this right here, the primary text, okay? Where it says, what if there was a way to get new students, right? And then if we put a URL, then it will allow us to, there we go, allow us to click out of there, okay? Now, here's what's cool too, is we can add options here. So we can enter another primary text. So what they will do is, once again, remember we talked about that A/B testing? You can actually have 2 or 3 or up to 5 different primary texts rotating through to see which ones are going to connect with people and get more clicks. And then we have a headline, which is going to be this down here. See this big headline, how a trip to the yard changed my business forever. Learn more. That's the headline. That piece is really important. It's the biggest, boldest text there. And then we have the description, which is, where did it go? There we go. Is this little, there's actually another piece. Let's see if one of these use a description. Yep. See where it says campaigns, designs, budgets right down here. That's going to be the description, and you just put it in there. I'm glossing over this because this is not the hard part. Now you choose a media. Let's just add an image here. Perfect. So I'll show you how that image looks. Done, right? And now this, creating this ad is a piece of cake. This is honestly, like I said, is the easiest part of it, right? So you're going to go through there, and sorry, my internet is bogging down a little bit, so stuff isn't refreshing. But that is essentially in man, that was fast. I hope you guys are still with me. I want to answer this question. The Facebook pixel installed on each web page, is it a separate code from the JavaScript that Google does? Yes, definitely. It's totally a different code than Google Analytics. Not to get overly complicated here, there is a tool that Google has called Google Tag Manager, which is essentially a bucket that can sit on your site that you can put all these things in. But that's really the only way that the Google code and the Facebook pixel would be related in a sense. But yeah, so those are totally different codes. You'll have to install the Facebook pixel. Bringing up the Facebook pixel, I'm gonna take a breath here. Have I missed any questions that need to get answered about that, or are there any questions about what we
Yes,
just talked about?
there is one, Steve, from further back. Sabrina asked, if we're doing a one-time event, would we pick brand awareness or reach?
Okay, what you would actually do is, personally, what I do is I create the event on Facebook, and then you can actually promote that event. So then the beauty of doing it that way is that when people say they're interested or they're going, you have the ability to write on the wall of the event. People will see the other people. You can get a lot more momentum with the event by actually promoting that event. So events are a special category that you can actually promote that event specifically. So that's how I would do that. Can we promote a group? Great question. At this point, no, not natively, but you can creatively, okay? With a group, right, you can do an ad, do a whole thing, go to a landing page like what Sunny has here and say, hey, I mean, Sunny could very easily, how to organically grow your income, join my Facebook group here. And you could put a link to the Facebook group, right? So right there. So there's always ways to do it. Sometimes it's just not natively built in. Is there any value in promoting a post on Instagram? Man, you're hitting an area that I get really worked up about. So I believe promoting individual posts, unless they have a call to action, it's hard to justify putting money behind them, unless you just feel good about it. Like there's always a feel good factor, but I like to put money behind things that could potentially have a return. And so, I mean, the problem with promoting a post on Instagram is if you give them $50 to promote the post and you've gotten nothing out of it, you've just given Zuckerberg $50 and your post has a bunch of likes, but it's not going to keep up. And like if there's not a call to action or something there, and with Instagram, that's a lot harder because you have to get somebody to click. If you're promoting the post, you have to get people to click over to your profile link to do anything. So it's really hard to find the cost value there. So that's where I would say there. Let's see. So how much money would you recommend a small business should allocate for their marketing budget? That's a really good question. There's not an answer. And the answer I'm about to give you gets me in trouble sometimes. Actually, let me stop my share so I can see what's going on here. That question gets me in trouble sometimes because people think it's a cop-out by saying there's not really an answer, but there isn't, because every business is different and every margin on product is different. And so if you have a large margin on your product, the reality is your marketing budget should be as much as you can spend and still be making money selling that product, right? Like I have worked with people in the past that have essentially said, keep spending until you hit the glass ceiling. There's always going to be a glass ceiling there. And if you have a product that costs you $5 and you can sell it for $60, that kind of margin gives you a lot more space to advertise and still be profitable. If you're selling courses or online courses, things like that, where it's digital, where there's not an added cost per additional sell, it's a lot easier to make money on that. I have a buddy that teaches guitar online and he charges $109 for an annual membership. Well, if he's on Facebook and can spend $50 and get a membership, dude, that's good money for him. So the budget for him is going to be different than somebody that maybe there's not as much margin. I would say, though, if I take a deep breath and sit back, for a small business, if you're like, hey, I'm going to spend $1,000 a month on digital advertising, I think that's going to be a good start for most people. It's going to give you money to test campaigns. It's going to give you money to run campaigns that are working. That would be kind of probably the start on we're talking about small 1, 2, maybe 3 employee type business. Maybe you have a shop downtown, something like that. $1,000 is probably where I would suggest starting at. What is this one right here about? Is there a behavior or donors? Was that a question I missed?
So you haven't answered it, Is it clear or do you need more clarification?
Oh, for me? I
Yeah.
don't know what the question is. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so Sabrina, if you could clarify that, that'd be great.
Awesome. 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 Oh, in the ad, you can choose. Yeah. Okay. And is there. So here's, this has just triggered something. I don't know if this is what you're asking. Oh, got it. Got it. So you're saying we're talking about for like donation type promoting like, yeah. Okay. Yep. Go there is a call to action you can use. So once again, we can get creative. So here's this is actually a great segue for what's happened. Remember, we are back here. Let's go to, I'll go into here real fast. Let's see. So when we were in the audiences here, and we were in the detailed targeting.
You're not screen sharing right now, Steve.
Oh,
if you want to
thank
be,
you.
you're not.
This is the problem with Zoom here. Okay, here we go. Let me get there again. Man, my brain works faster than Zoom works sometimes. Okay, here we go. So when we're in detailed targeting, okay, this used to have, I can't remember the number. It was like 10 or 15,000 more details about people. Over time, as Facebook has gotten in more and more trouble with privacy laws and things like that, they've continued to cut that down. The most recent one I remember was a couple years ago. They got in trouble with the Realtors Association, and they cut 5,000 different demographics. And the biggest one that was noticeable to me was under demographics, financial income. This, where it says household income top 10%, used to actually have household makes up to 50,000 a year, household makes up to 60,000 a year, household makes up to 80,000 a year. I mean, it was very detailed in what metrics you could choose right there. And so with the privacy stuff, they've chopped it all the way down to just those 4 different things you can choose for income. So my point in that is that you can, as things change in Facebook, as demographics and interests and behaviors become available and not available, you always can think of like, what's the secondary and tertiary thing that person might be interested in. So one thing I do suggest to people is, if you're selling a product, go buy a magazine that talks about that product. I mean, golf is an easy one, right? If I go to a golf magazine and I'm looking to target people, like a certain demographic of people that have certain interests, well, people that advertise in large magazines, that's a huge budget to advertise in those. So they've done their research. So when you go into a golf magazine, you're going to see Rolex and Jaguar and all those companies. It's going to give you a good idea of interests you can choose for your specific product, of interest of people that might be also into your product. So if you're a startup golf company, you could choose people that have those interests as well, and try to get them over. How often does Facebook show my ad in a day to my target market if I'm paying $15 a day? Excellent question. Depends on so many different things. But the average CPM, cost per thousand, is between $10 and $15. Okay. Now, that's average. I've seen them as low as $2 and $3, and I've seen them as high as $25. And I'm going to explain this. This is a great question. Your cost per 1,000 impressions is dictated by a lot of things, but one of those things is your audience, right? The bigger your audience, the more people Facebook have the opportunity to show your ad to. So generally, bigger the audience, the more people you're going to get for that $15. If we're talking about your business downtown San Luis and you're just promoting to San Luis, maybe Paso, maybe 5 cities, and you have 50,000 people in your audience, that 50,000 people, they're not just being targeted by you, they're being targeted by all the major brands, by Ford, by GM, by, everybody is targeting those people. They're all in all of these buckets, right? So the less people, but if you're going like, here's all the people I want are just right here, then you're going to have to pay a little bit more per impression to get to those people. So the reality is that I would, as a good estimate, I would say $10 to $15 a day is going to give you about 1,000 impressions. Okay. If you think about that, that is actually a pretty good value still. Over time, as you optimize your ad, as you optimize how people are reacting, Facebook actually internally gives your ad a score. Okay. And that score will actually also dictate how many people they're going to show the ad, because the score is that piece that's showing that your ad is actually being useful to people. Okay. Let me close this out real quick. I'm going to see real fast if I can. I don't want to take too much time since we're already at 127, but there's a way you can go into columns, customize columns, and you can actually find your ad score, and it will show you. And it's a scale of 1 to 10. If your ad score is a 10, you're probably going to get, your CPM is probably going to be down to like $6, something like that, right? So you're going to get a lot more for that money. If the ad score gets to like 5, you're going to be on the higher end, that $13, $14, $15 range. If your ad score gets down, I've seen certain ads, I've come in, people have asked me why their ad stopped going. Their ad score's down at 2. Sometimes Facebook thinks your ad is so bad, they're not showing it to anybody, so the ad just gets paused. So that's, generally speaking, that's kind of how you kind of think through that. But for budgeting purposes, things like that, if you did 1,000 for every $10 or $12.50 for every $15, that's how I would do that. 128. I feel like there's been a lot of information in the last hour and a half.
Yes, there has.
Okay, interesting. Real quick, since we have 1 minute.
Okay. I do need 1 minute at the end, Steve.
Okay, I'll do it in 30 seconds, I promise.
Okay.
We've experienced Facebook blocking our ads. Facebook, because of the privacy stuff, has come out with a lot more reasons they will block or stop your ads in the last 6-8 months. So there is a course they have called the Facebook Blueprint for Advertising. Go take that. You're going to learn a lot about the words and language you can and can't use inside Facebook advertising. There you go. I'm done.
Well done. I think that was less than 30 seconds, Steve. What an engaging speaker you are. I think we all got a dose of reality today about what Facebook is doing with their information, but it also, you highlighted what that data can do for us with our businesses. So if you'd like to continue your learning, Steve is offering search engine optimization, otherwise known as SEO, on March 3rd, and Google AdWords on April 7th. So please look for the registration links for those in the follow-up email with the recording link that you will all be getting. And once again, I wanted to let you know that this webinar was produced by Cal Poly, SBDC, MCSC, and SCORE, and we are all offering continuing education and mentoring, and we encourage you to contact us for all your business needs. We look forward to seeing you again, and we look forward to you, Steve. Thank you so much for doing this, and we will see you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks again, everybody.
Bye-bye.